Hey yo, thanks for tuning into The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. The other day, Mel Gibson jumped on the news and immediately started speculating about whether or not the California wildfires are part of a larger conspiracy. Will y'all check this out?
I don't know. I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water and and that the wind conditions are right and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching. I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, oh, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, I don't know. Want the state empty? I don't know.
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this dude. Anyhow, after Mel jumped on TV and started sharing his unfiltered thoughts, a whole bunch of people jumped in the comment section in support of Mel, because many of them said Mel is one of the real ones and Mel is out here telling the truth. For example, one person was like, Mel Gibson is as weird as they come, but he's an outsider in Hollywood for a reason. He's also a very religious person who abhors things that he and others claim are happening in Disney, etc. And then somebody else was like, I love that he's one of the real ones. After that, somebody else added, I love Mel Gibson, such a good dude. And then somebody else came through and was like, if it's Mel, I'm staying to listen. This man's been solid my whole adult life. And then, last but not least, somebody else was like, Mel Gibson is a real man that speaks the truth, stays away from evil, and you guys hate him for that. Listen, I love me a good Mel Gibson movie just as much as the next guy, but the reality is that Mel Gibson is a conspiracy theorist who's just as devious and duplicitous as all of these people who you believe are quote-unquote Hollywood. Now, if you want to talk about keeping it real, Mel Gibson has been all over the place for years. I mean, you gotta think about it. Mel Gibson is the type of dude who will make a movie about Jesus Christ and then go home and slap his girlfriend upside the wall. Or make a movie with Danny Glover in which he acts like his best friend, but then he goes home and calls black people the N-word. Now, you can listen to Mel Gibson if you want to, but if I were you, I would take things that Mel Gibson says with a grain of salt.
It started with one tape.
You look like a heap.
Then another.
Give me a bat in the side of the head. How about that?
A third.
You're a using whore.
And now a fourth.
I don't work around in tight clothes. I stay at home for most of the
You go out
time.
in public and it's a fucking embarrassment to me. You look like a fucking bitch on heat. And if you get raped by a pack of niggers, it'll be your fault.
Nearly 20 minutes of hate-filled rants. Mel Gibson allegedly threatening his ex-girlfriend Oksana Grigorieva during phone calls she apparently recorded and Radar Online released. The latest, a demand for sex coupled with another threat.
I deserve to be first until I burn the house down. But me first.
Yo, did this dude just say what I thought he just said? Did Mel Gibson just say, I should burn this cuffing house down? But before I burn this cuffing house down, you should give me some sloppy toppy. Oh my goodness. And this is the guy that y'all are all online talking about, yeah, Mel keeps it real. We love Mel. Wow.
In one recording, he does not deny hitting her.
Hitting a woman when she's holding a child in her hand, breaking her teeth twice in the face. What kind of man is that?
Oh, you're all angry now.
You're gonna get to, you know what? You're gonna answer one day, boy.
That same call includes what seems to be another death threat.
I'll put you in a rose garden, you. You understand that? Because I'm capable of it.
See, I don't forget anything. So, what we're not going to be out here doing in 2025 is calling dudes like Diddy and Chris Brown demons, while at the same time jumping online talking about, oh my goodness, Mel Gibson is such a religious, honest, trustworthy saint. Who are y'all kidding? I mean, hopefully Mel has gotten himself a little anger management and a little help since then, but I need for all y'all online to remember that this is Mel Gibson that we're talking about. Now, if I was Mel Gibson, I would lay off of the conspiracy theories a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why. 2 days ago, President-elect Donald Trump named Mel Gibson one of his ambassadors to Hollywood, along with Jon Voight and Sylvester Stallone. Now, when you start talking conspiracies, you start planting seeds, and I start thinking, who's the only real estate agent in the world that I believe is uniquely positioned to take advantage of these wildfires to cement their legacy? And when I start thinking like that, there's only one real estate mogul that I can think of. Cause before these fires started, Donnie Baby was the only person out here talking about getting him some land so he could build him 10 new freedom cities.
Almost 1/3 of the land mass of the United States is owned by the federal government, with just a very, very small portion of that land, just a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. Would you believe that? We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again.
So, if Mel Gibson doesn't want to put his new boss in the hot seat, he might want to ease back off of those conspiracy theories. Nah, but even though I would love to blame this whole big mess on Donald Trump, I can't. Because the reality is that there were multiple factors that led to these fires, including natural factors such as climate change, rich people, poor governance, AI, arsonists, and a whole lot more. Alright, so let's start off with climate change. For all my people of a certain age, do you remember that when we were kids, we had 4 distinct seasons: winter, summer, spring, and fall? Now, we basically have 2, hot and cold. I mean, it's crazy, but it tells you something's wrong. And that brings us to rich people. Yo, how does one family own 60% of the water in California? I mean, can the government please step in and let those people know you can't own 60% of the water? I mean, for real, you don't have any problem telling me that I can't park on the left side of the street between 8 and 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you got a problem telling these rich bastards that they can't own all of the water?
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage. Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland, and nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella, the Wonderful Company, a privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. The majority owners, the Resnicks, are worth at least $8 billion. How were they able to take over such a large percentage of what should be a shared public resource? This is The Classroom from More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at how the Resnicks got rich. Linda is a former child actress, the daughter of Jack Harris, a successful movie distributor of the 1950s, most well known for The Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
At 19, she founded her own advertising agency. Stewart was born to a middle-class New Jersey family and started his first business, a janitorial service, in grad school. He eventually acquired American Protection Services, a burglar alarm and security company. Linda approached him about marketing services for the company, and they hit it off, not knowing that one day they'd work together to take over California's water. The Lovebirds became business partners. They bought Teleflora, the flower delivery company, and the Franklin Mint, purveyors of inane little tchotchkes. Linda was the marketing person, and Stewart was in charge of business. As Linda told the LA Times in 1993, "I've always said that Stewart and I together make one perfect person, like little salt and pepper shakers." In the late 80s, they found their primary industry, agriculture. They got into the pistachio business. Linda said, "We've done more for the pistachio than anyone ever since it was planted in the Garden of Eden. My husband should be canonized for all the work he's done." They started branching into other products, almonds, pomegranates, citrus, wine, and acquiring more and more land to cover it, including some very important land in Kern County, which granted them water rights in the area. As the Resnicks were building their empire, the state of California was building new water infrastructure with taxpayer money. California's natural water supply is very inconsistent. Vastly differing amounts of rainfall means the state can go from surplus to drought and back very easily. So they build water banks to store water during surpluses to have during droughts. One important storage facility is the Kern Water Bank, started in 1988. The facility was built with hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars, which could have been a good thing. The people of California would have owned the water. But there were two Californians thirstier than the rest, and they wanted more water. Linda and Stuart Resnick, and they had a lot of political power. We'll get to that. In 1994, state water officials, water infrastructure contractors, and agricultural landowners with water rights arranged a secretive meeting at a resort in Monterey Bay, California. These groups, a mix of private companies and public agencies, rewrote California's water rules without any input from voters, taxpayers, or legislators. The new rules, called the Monterey Plus Agreement or the Monterey Amendments, were devastating for working Californians, and great for agriculture billionaires. The original code included urban preference, a long-standing rule that in times of drought, the state water board would give urban areas, where people live, access to water supplies before agricultural interests. Monterey axed that. That means that in times of drought, the water systems for normal Californians would have to buy water from private companies, because they weren't getting it from the state. The new agreement also loosened regulations on paper water. That's water that doesn't necessarily exist anywhere but on paper.
Hold up, stop the press. What in the world is paper water? And who is the dum-dum that came up with that concept? I mean, who went to work one day and was sitting behind their desk and was like, you know what? We need to create something called paper water. This is going to be water that doesn't actually exist, but we're going to say it exists on paper. Oh my goodness, I am done. But let's continue.
The full quantities of water that providers could have, but don't actually need to have. Today, 5 times as much water has been promised and sold as actually exists. And importantly, the meeting changed ownership of the Kern Water Bank. What once belonged to the state was transferred to a few private water contractors, one of which was Westside Mutual, a wholly owned subsidiary of Wonderful Foods. The wonderful employee who runs Westside, Bill Phillimore, is the chairman of the public organization that manages the Kern Water Bank. Boom. One secret meeting and the Resnicks owned nearly 60% of an important California water resource, built with hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money. The new ownership, combined with the rules on paper and surplus water, meant that during times of drought, the Resnicks could sell Kern water back to the state water systems. They took Californian taxpayers' water and sold it back to them, both literally as the water supply and also to grow expensive food like gourmet pistachios and pomegranate juice. They converted the people's water into products many can't afford. And that's just one water bank. The Resnicks also have control of other water boards and have been sued for directing more water towards their properties. So how do they get away with this Chinatown-level chicanery?
Gonna be a lot of irate citizens when they find out that they're paying for water that they're not gonna get.
With philanthropy. The Resnicks donate millions of dollars to politicians and research institutions, which help them secure control over water systems, and even get more water and more taxpayer funding.
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. When I go into the voting booth and I pick a politician, I pick a candidate, this is the type of stuff that I want my candidates to be working on. When you go to Capitol Hill, I need you to make sure that me and my fellow citizens have some water. I mean, how in the world are you going to let the Resnicks have all the water, including the paper water? Alright, so let me get serious for a second. I can understand that if you buy a property and that property has like a lake, a ravine, or a creek in the backyard, that you would own that like waterway. However, to own 60% of the water in an entire state is like crazy. Listen, let me know in the comments, what do you think about two private citizens, or should I say, a corporation privatizing 60% of the water in California? Are you like Sauce? That's just capitalism. Or are you like Sauce? That ish right there is cuffed up. And that brings me to the politicians. If I'm gonna keep it a buck in 2025, we all know that I'm far more critical on Donald Trump than I am on Joe and Kamala. Why? Because y'all all know that I be giving my fellow sister of color a little pass sometimes. However, this time, her, Joe, and Gavin Newsom are getting it. How in the world are you sitting up in the Oval Office just looking as clean as can be with a fresh perm, and Gavin Newsom over there looks like he just ran home, took a shower, and got his hair washed and conditioned? I mean, what is that? Not one hair is out of place. Listen, when one of our states in the union is burning down, I need you guys to look a little disheveled like you're actually doing a little work. I mean, I need you to get out there and put some boots on the ground. I mean, get yourself some Timberland boots, a Carhartt vest, and some jeans, and make it look like you're actually getting active. I mean, we thought it was bad when George Bush actually flew over New Orleans and Kanye West had to come out and say,
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
And I remember thinking to myself during Hurricane Katrina, oh my goodness, George Bush is a freaking imbecile. But now that I'm looking back, I'm like, gee, at least he flew over the vicinity. These cats now are like, yo, we're not even leaving DC. I mean, will you take a look at these two? These two look like they're sitting up in an Oval Office getting ready to play a game of spades.
I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation. There are hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people that are out there, people I meet every single day, people the mayor's been meeting with, and they're having conversations that are not the typical conversations you'd have at this time, and you wonder where this stuff comes from, and it's very damaging as well. But we're here to get the job done.
And then you got Gavin Newsom over there, and he's doing news interviews in which he looks like he just took a shower, and he's over there smelling like Irish Spring and Old Spice.
You've also called for an independent investigation into the issues around water supply that we've seen. What are the questions that you're hoping to answer?
The same ones you're asking. Same ones that people when I'm in the streets are asking, yelling about. What the hell happened? What happened to the water system? Was it, and by the way, was it just overwhelm? That you had so much that was used, we drew it down. Was it pipes? Was it electricity? It was a combination of pipes, electricities, and pumps. What was that drawdown? Impossible, because you lost 7,000+ structures right here anyway, and every single structure we lost had a pipe that was leaking, and we would have lost that water pressure anyway. Did it contribute in any way to our inability to fight the fire, or were 99-mile-an-hour winds determinative, and there was really no firefight that could have been more meaningful? So all of us want to know those answers, and I just don't want to wait because people are asking me. I want to know those facts. I want them objectively determined, and that the chips fall where they may. This is not about finger pointing.
You say what to people who insist that these independent investigations or calls for them? Are you passing the blame onto other people?
I'm not, how could it be when we're doing an independent investigation and we just want the adjudication of the facts? As I say, it's not about finger pointing. It's about answering the questions you and everybody wants answered. And I think there's a propensity to wait to answer those questions, and people want immediacy. They want response and responsiveness, and so that's the idea.
I mean, come on. Do you see how clean this dude looks? Now, while Mr. Clean, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden are probably putting in a little work, I mean, optically, it's just not a good look. And it's becoming more and more apparent that optics is something that these newfangled Democrats just don't do well. Because back in the day, Ronald Reagan understood optics. He used to put the jelly beans on the table to look kid-friendly. Bill Clinton understood optics. He used to get himself a hamburger and get out there and jog through the streets. Barack Obama understood optics. I mean, he used to roll his sleeves up and look like he was actually putting in the work. And even though I can't stand Rudy Giuliani, when the towers went down, it was actually a comfort to me that that ninja was standing out in the rubble with a hard hat. Listen, if I could give a piece of advice to some of these politicians, it would be this. When people in one of the states in your country are basically losing their homes, they're homeless, I mean, they're going through it, you might want to get out there and tussle up the hair a little bit and look like there's actually something going on. Because when people are going through hardships like they're currently going through in California right now, people need hope. And part of that hope comes from knowing that your government officials are actually in the fire with you. Listen, let me know in the comment section below. Do you think that Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden are actually doing a good job maintaining this fire optically? Let me know what you think in the comments, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, with that being said, even though I just said that they need to get out there and get close to the fire, they might not want to get as close to the fire as Nate Dogg's son Inhale, who decided that now would be the optimal time to get out there and film his latest music video called My City's on Fire, but I Still Need to Smoke. Will y'all check this out?
City on fire, but I still gotta smoke. I still gotta smoke. City on fire, but I still gotta smoke. I still gotta smoke. City on fire, but I still gotta smoke. I still gotta smoke. City on fire, but I still gotta smoke. I still gotta smoke. I really don't know when I'm looking at it close. What is going on? At first I was sold, they used to be closed. Now my eyes open, it feel controlling. Or maybe I'm loaded. Like before this day was known. It seemed all talk, so they had to show it. Yeah, so it's hot now, nigga, it's boiling. We running out of sources, we must stay focused. I wonder how the rich folks knew it was approaching. Like Rogan, lucky or they chose it. I'm just here smoking. No, it's a dim state and they can't control it. It's so much bullshit spreading all over. But homie, it's looking like they forcing drama to blind us, so niggas can't see the real problem. I'm honest and thankful, I pray to my angel.
Okay. So after Inhale made and dropped that music video, while the fires were still firing in the background and the smoke was still smoldering, as he was like, my city's on fire but I still gotta smoke, while taking out his backwoods and then lighting it with his little lighter, a whole bunch of people jumped in the comment section and one person was like, the literal definition of not the time nor place. And then somebody else was like, this couldn't have waited 2 weeks. And then after that, somebody else was like, his house burned down in the fires, so he made a song about it. Y'all need to do your research before jumping in the comments. And then after that, somebody else was like, I love how he took advantage of the opportunity to make a music video with the background of the aftermath. Free promotion. And then, last but not least, somebody else was like, Nate Zogg would not be proud. Yeah, I don't even really know what to say about this. So what I will say is, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable making a video with the burning buildings in the background while the tragedy was still going on. But that's me. Listen, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think that this was appropriate to shoot the video at this time and place? Or do you think, nah son, come on, you gotta at least wait till the fires go out? Now, if there's one thing that we've learned from these wildfires and from comedian Eddie Griffin, it's this.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm wasn't there. You ain't no good neighbor. You got the worst neighbors you could ever have. Just gonna let house burn down, get State Farm.
I think we can all agree that an insurance company that doesn't want to insure you and cancels policies when like ish hits the fan is trash. But now it turns out that we're finding out that the entire state of California might also be trash. Because as it stands right now, we just found out that the California State Tax Assessor's Office actually expects people who lost their houses to still pay 60% of the taxes.
Doesn't apply to the land.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy, because the land actually adds up to like 60% of the taxes. But let me say this, if you've lost your house in this fire, please, one of the first things that you need to do is find yourself a computer or use your phone to jump on the tax assessor's website and fill. Oh my goodness, my heart is just breaking for all of those people who are uninsured, because not only have you lost your house, but when it comes to our own communities, we don't got nothing. And listen, I'm not just talking about this particular situation, I'm talking about all situations that go down just like this. And for real, I've always felt this way, but I'm really starting to feel this way even stronger now. If I pay insurance on an item such as like a car, and I don't—
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hi, I'm Jake from State— Oh, heaven no. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Get your ass over here and be a good neighbor. What does that mean? Do you want to borrow some sugar? You got a new flat screen you need to hang up? Yeah, I just made a quick Costco run to prep for the Super Bowl. And what the hell do you think it means, Jake? Let me just pull up your policy. Please don't say full coverage. Please don't say full coverage. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I hope this is enough to cover the deductible. I want it rebuilt the same exact way, brick by brick, and don't be buying that cheap lumber.
Let me tell you something. All I know is this. After this whole situation goes down, State Farm better change its jingle to like a good neighbor. State Farm ain't shit. I'm laughing, but I'm serious. And that brings me to AI. Did you know that some people are out there trying to blame this whole entire fire on ChatGPT? Watch this.
ChatGPT caused the wildfires. That's right, social media has a new scapegoat, ChatGPT, the same AI chatbot that can do maths and pen poems. Before we tell you why, let's quickly also look at the situation on the ground. 25 people have died. 6 million remain under a fire threat. 2 fires are currently active, the Palisades and the Eaton fires. Firefighters are battling these blazes, but powerful winds make it very difficult. The conditions are expected to ease this weekend, but Los Angeles still has a long road to recovery. Which brings us to the culprit. Social media users say ChatGPT caused the fires. But is that true? Is ChatGPT really responsible for the fires? And why is social media blaming artificial intelligence? To understand that, let's look at how ChatGPT works. Imagine you type a prompt into ChatGPT. The prompt is turned into code. This code flows through a network of servers. The servers run thousands of complex calculations, and ultimately they produce the best possible response for you. Now, all of this happens on massive power-hungry servers. These servers work hard, so they generate heat, lots of heat. And so data centers need to prevent overheating. For that, they rely on cooling systems. And this is where water plays a crucial role. Cooling towers use vast amounts of water just to keep servers at optimal temperatures. Essentially, ChatGPT is a water guzzler. To put it in perspective, a 100-word email needs around a bottle of water. Same for every 4 to 5 prompts. ChatGPT gulps almost 500 ml of water for this. Now let's zoom out and look at the larger picture. In 2024, ChatGPT had 300 million weekly active users. 300 million weekly active users. So you can imagine the amount of energy it consumed and the scale of water it needed. And that is why social media is complaining.
Yo, I swear, I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. I mean, it is crazy when people are out here blaming ChatGPT for the fires. But I'm very glad that I saw this news report, because I've never ever thought about the fact that every time I write an email, I'm actually using an entire bottle of water. I mean, for real. From now on, I'm gonna start being a lot more thoughtful about my emails. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this new theory that ChatGPT could potentially be one of the culprits that started these fires. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Peace.